Hello and welcome to How to Invest. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I like to be diluted as a shareholder. Now, that might sound crazy, so let me explain in 3 points. First, I'm going to be talking about some of the downsides that are very real about stock-based compensation and getting diluted. But more so, secondly, I'm going to talk about the good parts of it and why I actually don't mind being diluted at all. And thirdly, I'm going to talk about how you actually model dilution and what that means for Lemonade and their most recent announcement of a stock-based compensation plan for the two co-founders. A little bit about me. I own Lemonade at the time of this recording, and I have about an $82,000 portfolio. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. We are not registered investment advisors. You are solely responsible for your own investments. We implore everyone to underwrite their own investments. If you don't have time to, we recommend not watching our channel. We may hold positions in securities we discuss. Our opinions are subject to change, and this video reflects our opinions only at the time of recording. This video is not financial advice and is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Starting out, I just want to give a massive shout out to Paper Bag Investor and his YouTube channel. This is where I got the best breakdown of the stock-based compensation plan. He reads a lot of it from the actual shareholder letter, and then he does his own version of modeling it, and so on and so forth. But huge shout out to him. He breaks it down in a really, really understandable way. So if you want more of an understanding of the stock-based compensation inside Lemonade directly, I do recommend going and watching his video. It's a really good watch. So, but in today's video, I want to more focus on the general principles of stock-based compensation, dilution, the good, the bad, and then actually modeling it. So starting with the bad, I think this kind of chat with AI is a good kind of summary. So SBC is a non-cash expense, but it's really important to understand that this is a real expense. This is actually an expense to the company. So it's definitely, do not think that it's just, free money that's being given out to these, employees or C-suite execs. Like, this is a real expense. You do need to understand that it does lower your expected returns. If it doesn't have any positive effects, it would lower your returns, right? So, if $100 grows to $200 and you own one share of the $100, but then you only own 0.9, and that double doesn't mean that you have $2, it means you have $1.8 now. So dilution is a real thing. It does actually lower your future returns if everything else was the same, which I don't think it does make everything else the same, but it is important to actually understand the dilutive effect of stock-based compensations and, secondary offerings, that kind of stuff. Now, that is definitely the bad side of it. It lowers your percentage ownership in the company, which means you don't get the same amount of the future growth. You lose some of that future growth to other new shareholders, because all the shares together will always equal 100%. So it's the same thing as inflation. If new dollars get printed, then your dollars are worth less. So that is definitely the bad side of it. But next, I want to talk about the good side of it, which I think drastically outweighs the bad side. So employee stock ownership plans, or ESOPs, or it's just another term for stock-based compensation, can have a measurable positive effect on companies and growth and performance. Research indicates that employee-owned companies tend to post stronger growth numbers than their peers and experience lower turnover rates. Now, that is super important, because something that naturally happens inside of companies is the company has basically enterprise knowledge, and a lot of times that enterprise knowledge isn't stored in some kind of database. It's stored in the actual minds of the employees. So if you have a company with higher turnover rate, you're basically getting brain drain. You're having a lot of SG&A expenses, general administrative expenses going towards training new employees to relearn the same thing that the previous employee already knew. So turnover has a real cost, and lowering that is a real benefit. Additionally, these companies often perform better on several performance metrics, including overall productivity and financial stability. They have greater job retention through economic downturns. And I feel like there's also just a moral part of it that also plays into it. You cannot have a company. A company is basically a group of people coming together and trying to accomplish some kind of good or outcome or produce some kind of good or service. And the only way you can do that is by coming together in a large group. And the person that found it should definitely have a large benefit, but you can't, that person could not go as far without, having the additional help. And those people should get part ownership. Getting ownership in what you're building is super important for buy-in. It's important for, their financial stability as well. And we want everyone to benefit from the great kind of democratization that is, ownership and owning the companies that are building the great wealth in the United States and around the world. So I think there's a really good feel-good aspect about it too, but there is real actual benefits. Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. Great quote from Charlie Munger. Show me the incentive. Like, you give these employees stock-based compensation and you say the value of that stock will increase the better you perform at your job because you'll make this company a more valuable company over time. That is the incentive, and I'll show you the outcome. You're gonna have a better performing company. So that is why I personally do not mind the dilutive effects of stock-based compensation or employee stock ownership plans, because I know that that is putting me on the same team as all of the employees, C-suite execs inside the company. And now we all have a unified goal. I view it very similarly as the signal that is when, you have insider buying, because you buy a stock for one purpose and one purpose only, to make money. And then when you have more of your own personal wealth inside of one stock or in ownership of a company, you care way more about how that company does. It's just a very natural effect. When you own something, you want it to succeed. You have this concept of the tragedy of the commons, which is when no one owns it, no one takes care of it type of deal. So it's really important to align incentives. I really love stock-based compensation for that fact. And going back to Paper Bag, he really does a good job of explaining how this is not like ridiculous. You can have a situation where the stock-based compensation kind of is ridiculous and it's not really aligned with reality. It is a competitive amount of stock-based compensation. They're not getting overcompensated for these, their CEO and CTO roles. And I am very happy to, reward Daniel and Shai for leading this company and doing such a great job at doing it. A big part of my thesis of why Lemonade is going to succeed is that Daniel and Shai are excellent leaders and they're going to lead this company for decades to come. And now I have even more confidence that they're going to do that because now more of their net worth is based and tied to the performance of the company that is Lemonade. Now, let's go into the modeling a bit. So I'm going to talk about some math here for calculating the dilution. You can also just use our spreadsheet in the description if you want to, but I want you guys to understand this. The way that I calculate ROI on these companies is I basically determine what I think the market cap is going to be in year 1, 5, 10, and 20. I do that by calculating revenue growth, putting a net income percentage on that revenue, so how much of that revenue will drop to the bottom line, and then putting what I think is a reasonable price to earnings ratio on that earnings. That gives me a market cap. I take that market cap, I divide it by the current market cap, and that gives me an ROI. So how many times bigger is the future market cap compared to the current market cap? Now, in order to calculate dilution, I do it as a percentage of current shares. So if there's going to be 10% more shares in 5 years, that means we're going to have 110% shares as a percentage of the current shares. So if you take something like a 4x and then we say we're going to divide that. So here's the 5-year market cap divided by the current market cap, and then we divide that by our percentage. So say this calc comes out to a 4x, and then we divide that by the 110%, which numerically can be written as 1.1, you can see how it lowers the return. So that is how we're calculating in that dilution and loss of ownership percentage. So in our modeling here, I have 2% per year for the next 5 years. And I think the stock-based compensation plan goes for the next 8. So you'll have 112, 114, 116 in 2033. and then I have them buying about 8% shares back, so kind of over that same time period, as they get to profitability and they need more ways to calculate over the next, or allocate capital over the next decade. This won't be exactly right. Again, this is directional. I'm trying to model out the future 10 years from now. Who knows? There's so much going to be different. So this, again, just to give me a directional idea, and then in the next decade over that, they'll buy back another 18% of shares of the current number of shares. So again, this is all calculated as a percentage of current shares. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's a lot of math. Hopefully you could understand. Hopefully I showed that well with the, showing the formula and the calculator. So if you did not understand that, you can again download the spreadsheet and go look at all the formulas yourself. If you're familiar with spreadsheets, I highly recommend you learning it if you don't know how to run spreadsheets and stuff. But yes, so let me show you the difference in terms of the return on investment due to the dilution. So we're calculating about 10% dilution by 2030. So based on the modeling in our base case for Lemonade, that gives us about a 3.9x in the base case, which is really good. I'm going to go back to and put this back to say there's no dilution and no buybacks, what that means. So that bumps it up by 0.3x return in the 5 years. So there is a meaningful difference. That is a real cost to you as an investor, that dilution. But again, like I talked about, I feel like the good is so much better, but it is important to calculate that in. So we'll put that back in, the 10% dilution over the next 5 years. And you can still see you get an excellent return. And again, that adds to the qualitatives for me, understanding that, there's more insider ownership. That is a qualitative aspect of the company that this stock-based compensation makes stronger for me in my mind. I know that insiders are more aligned with my incentives as a shareholder. So, again, that is why I'm more than happy to be diluted. And then lastly, that is how you actually model it out. Hopefully I explained that clear enough. All of this is just a case study to show you, how to understand dilution, how to model it out with using the actual real world case study of Lemonade. This is not telling you to go invest in Lemonade. I highly encourage you to go and do your own due diligence. And the purpose of these videos is hopefully how to teach you how to do your own due diligence, do your own qualitative research, do your own quantitative modeling, that kind of stuff. So I hope you learned a lot. This is not financial advice. We're not registered financial advisors. I hope you are now better informed on how to actually invest yourself. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. Make sure to subscribe for more informational videos like this in the future, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. As a reminder, our investment philosophy is to never invest money we might need for the next several years or that we can't afford to go to zero. Before we buy individual stocks, we always ensure our income exceeds our expenses and that we hold an emergency fund of 3 to 12 months of living expenses. If we didn't have the time to research fundamentals, our strategy would simply be to hold broad index funds. Remember, this video is not financial advice. It is for educational and entertainment purposes only.